You are never meant to beg for the attention of someone who claims to care about you. The truth is, when a man begins to ignore you, he's not just being distant, he's making a statement about how much he thinks you're worth. But what if I told you that every moment you accept that silence, you're teaching him how to treat you? You're showing him what he can get away with. In this sermon, inspired by the powerful insights of Matthew Hussey, we're going to challenge that mindset. We're going to step into our value, reclaim our dignity, and teach him without saying a word that you are not someone who waits around to be chosen. You are the prize. You are the standard. And silence won't break you. It will awaken you. This isn't about revenge. It's about respect. It's about showing up for yourself when someone else decides to disappear. It's about making a statement with your actions that says, I know who I am, and you don't get to forget that and keep access to me. Let's talk about how to teach him the price of ignoring you. When someone pulls away from you, especially someone you've given your time, affection, and emotional energy to, it's natural to want to chase. You want clarity. You want closure. You want to know why they're pulling back, and you believe that if you just say the right thing, maybe you'll get the answers you crave. But chasing only teaches him that he can withdraw, and you'll do the emotional labor to fix what he's breaking. It tells him that your love is a guarantee, not something to be earned. And that is a dangerous lesson to teach. Instead, absence is your power. When a man ignores you, your instinct may be to reach out, to make sure you weren't misunderstood, to protect the connection. But this instinct backfires. Desperation is not attractive, it repels. Absence, on the other hand, is magnetic. It says, I have a life so full, I don't chase anyone who devalues me. And that changes everything. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. So if you respond to being ignored by becoming more available, more understanding, more present, you're sending the wrong message. But if you respond by retreating into your life, focusing on your goals, redirecting your energy into people who reciprocate it, and staying silent, then you shift the dynamic. Suddenly your absence becomes a mirror. It reflects back to him what he lost. It forces him to sit with the reality that you're not a placeholder. You're a whole person with boundaries. This doesn't mean you're being manipulative. This is about integrity. It's about having enough self-respect to not reward someone for treating you like an option. When you pull back and stop showing up where you're not valued, it communicates something far more powerful than any speech you could give. It shows that you've recalibrated your standards. It shows that your presence is not a given, it's a gift. And here's the thing. When you create space, two things happen. First, you get your power back. You stop obsessing over him and start remembering who you were before you met him. Whole, vibrant, grounded. Second, he begins to notice that something's missing, that access to you wasn't as permanent as he assumed. He begins to feel the vacuum you left behind, and suddenly your value becomes undeniable, not because you screamed it, but because you removed it. Men don't change when you chase them. They change when you disappear, when they have time to feel the loss, when they realize that your life doesn't pause just because they did. That's when you shift from being the woman who's waiting to the woman who is missed. So instead of writing a paragraph explaining how you feel, write a new chapter in your life without him. Instead of refreshing your inbox, hoping he'll respond, refresh your spirit, your confidence, your sense of self. And remember, a man will only value what he fears losing. If he doesn't fear losing you, he won't fight for you. Your absence must cost him something. Your silence must echo louder than your presence ever did when he took it for granted. The most powerful thing you can do when someone ignores you is not to try harder, but to vanish from the space they once had easy access to. Because when you're gone, really gone, that's when they learn what your presence truly meant. There's something deeply unsettling about being met with silence when you reach out to someone you care about. It stirs anxiety, confusion, and self-doubt. You wonder if you said something wrong, if he's lost interest, or if he's testing you. And the impulse to fix it, to send another message, to get his attention, to explain yourself, feels overwhelming. But here's the truth. Every time you break your silence to respond to his, you lower your value. You step out of your power and into a place of emotional begging. And men don't respect what they can emotionally manipulate. Silence is not weakness. It's not avoidance. It's a message more powerful than any words you could ever type. It says, I don't chase confusion. I don't invest where I'm not valued. I don't hand over my energy just because you've gone quiet. When a man ignores you, responding with silence doesn't mean you don't care. It means you care enough about yourself to not try and convince him to see your worth. We often think that saying something, anything, will bring clarity or control. But the real control comes from restraint, from sitting in your discomfort and still choosing not to act from fear. When you stay silent, you're not doing nothing. You're doing something bold. You're drawing a line. You're saying, I refuse to compete for your attention. I refuse to beg for consistency. I refuse to prove that I'm worthy of a reply. Every time you send another message hoping to trigger a reaction, you give your power away. You tell him he can breadcrumb you, disappear, and you'll still be there waiting when he's ready. But when you remain silent, especially when it costs you something emotionally, it teaches him that you are not emotionally available to someone who is emotionally unavailable. And silence doesn't just communicate strength to him, it reinforces strength in you. Because each moment you don't reach out is a moment you reclaim your emotional independence. You start realizing that you don't need his validation to feel whole. You start turning inward instead of outward. You begin to break the habit of over-functioning for someone who under-communicates. It's in your silence that he begins to wonder what's going on in your mind. He may have expected the usual, a follow-up message, an emotional outburst, an effort to reconnect. But when none of that comes, he starts to question. And in that questioning, you gain leverage. You become a mystery again. You regain your dignity. You interrupt the cycle of him controlling the pace of the relationship with his silence. Men don't remember the woman who begged. They remember the woman who knew when to stop talking, who knew when to walk away, who chose her peace over his inconsistency. Silence unsettles a man who is used to being chased. It makes him uncomfortable. It breaks the script. And that disruption is often the very thing that forces him to rethink how he's treated you. The hardest part about silence is enduring the moments when you want so badly to reach out. But those moments are also the most transformative because it's there that you practice emotional self-control. It's there that you rewire your relationship with yourself. And it's there that you send the clearest message of all. I am not afraid to be silent because I trust that what is meant for me will not require chasing. And what does require chasing isn't worthy of me. So don't let your fingers betray your heart. Don't let your emotions draft texts your soul will regret. Every time you withhold that message, you tell the universe, I'm ready for a love that shows up, that calls, that chooses me. And until then, you let silence be your boundary. Let it speak for you. Let it protect you. Let it echo the truth that you are worth more than someone who needs to be reminded to see you. when a man begins to pull away, go silent, or show indifference, it's easy to slip into a cycle of rationalizing his behavior. You start creating narratives to protect your heart. Maybe he's just busy. Maybe he's going through something. Maybe he's scared of how deeply he feels for you. These excuses come from a place of hope, but they keep you stuck. They keep you emotionally tethered to someone who is not showing up for you. And worse, they lower your standards under the illusion of understanding. But here's the truth. When a man values you, he doesn't create confusion, he creates clarity. When a man is serious, he communicates, even when it's uncomfortable. So instead of elevating excuses for his silence, elevate your life. Use his absence as a catalyst, not a prison. Redirect the energy you once poured into wondering what he's thinking, into building a life that makes you proud to wake up every morning. You don't need closure to move forward. You don't need answers from someone who chose to go quiet instead of choosing you. What you need is momentum. What you need is action. Because the most powerful response to someone undervaluing you is to rise. Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and even physically. It's to focus so fiercely on your growth that his silence becomes irrelevant. Every time you justify his lack of effort, you make a trade. You trade your intuition for false hope. You quiet the voice inside you that already knows the truth just to avoid feeling the pain of that truth. But growth requires truth, and that means looking at the situation without sugarcoating it. He's not too busy, he's not confused, he's just not choosing you, and that is enough reason to stop choosing him. So instead of mentally defending his behavior, defend your peace. Instead of wondering why he hasn't reached out, ask yourself why you're still entertaining someone who's inconsistent, and then take that energy and invest it in yourself. Build your dreams, deepen your relationships, improve your health, nurture your passions. Become so fulfilled within yourself that his lack of presence no longer feels like a loss, but a blessing.